The United States Census Bureau affirms that as of 2010, 23.6% of people living in Hawaii are of mixed blood. Known as a melting pot, Hawaii has been a bastion for abandoning culture and fine-tuned prejudice for decades.
America, if you could find the right bills to pass into prayer, if you could kiss the needle pricks of the boy who sowed your kicks, another hungry stomach eats its own acid, quakes you to your knees. Now, every homeless hand reaching for you is them swallowing their self-pity. Did you ever run to the rhythm of the police, knocking evictions at your door, posting the receipt of the American dream?
We all have the same fear, to be forgotten. So we adorn metal fist to counteract the kiss of death. Our hands, when closed, destroy like tornadoes, ripping the wreckage of cartilage from another man's face. We forget that these tornado fists are more beautiful when open, that the center of the storm is as euphoric as the land it ravaged before its arrival. What if I could show you this?
In school, we learned about Japanese rice candy and lychee. Kamehameha and the Ali'i, it was a process type of culture. But I was told it was mine.
There is a silence that cannot be shaken from the system. In the moment you realize that you are no longer fluent in the only language that ever made sense to you, most mornings, I try to find an ember burning bright enough to light myself a promise that I will fight, not to lose the words I have left in the darkness.
When I say that people remind me of tea, do not smile. I have never been a fisherman of grins. I do not cast off lines and expect you to bite. There is no lure here that will support life. When I say people remind me of teeth, I mean they are crooked and stubborn, start to hurt when they are hollow, and become lucky only when lost, when you are gone. I will not sleep with your picture under my pillow, and I will awake unchanged.
Your laughter is analog, your humor a voltage source of resistance, and I know that I will never know your father. No, the land shown in your skin, only the pigment of the Philippines, your guava bark melanin, you were the only tradition I know. Your name, a solemnity, Papa. I will dance in your laughter, sing your fingers as circuitry, and together we can create 1,000 traditions to call our own.
Hello, TEDxHonolulu. You guys can clap. There we go. How y'all doing? Quick introduction until we get into the real stuff. A few months ago, a few Pacific Tongues poets came together to envision and write a poem inspired by the poem Kauna. The poem Kauna was written originally in 2008 by Ittai Wong and myself, and is performed with Alaka'i Kotrys and William Giles. Kauna is a love poem to the Hawaiian language, and a poem honoring our kupuna for their sacrifices in protecting our language and our history. Revising Existence, the first poem you hear tonight, is a personal response to the kinds of questions that come up about accountability and identity growing up in Hawaii. We hope that these poems help you to think about your own mo'olelo, your own stories, and envision your accountability to this place. So please, welcome to the stage, Joanna Gordon, Harrison Ines, and Serena Simmons.
On October 16, 2013, the students of the University of Hawaii at Manoa gathered together to protest the covering up of a mural by the school's newspaper Kaleo. The mural opposed the construction of telescopes on Mauna Oaakea, or Mauna Kea to most, which is a volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii.
How do you define censorship?
I think back to the days when my tongue was lost for the first time. Buried in the whenua back home, I stuffed a flag bloodied with bounty and white down my throat, scolded the displaced for their scorched history, treated my culture like a disease, cut the reo off at the first syllable when it pleaded through my mother's eyes, believed the West when they referred to my ocean as small.
Why should anyone care about what happens in the Pacific?
I cannot recall the exact day I found my tongue, but I do remember weeping at the sound of waiata. The kaikaranga soaring welcome through my bones, reminding my young heart that relearning one's bloodline takes time. Drowning out the West takes time.
Why are countries so cruel when they are never satisfied?
The day of the Kaleo protest, I struggled between academic commitment and the preservation of our moana, only to find my professor had made the demonstration mandatory for class, that I would not be penalized for missing the day's lesson or lose points for speaking out.
What is more important to you?
I found my place in the green painted anger, alongside generations of the Pacific protesting the censorship of Kanaka Maoli together. Fingers intertwined, Many throats filled with the same salted bird song, refusing to accept the blotting out of native voices and the destruction of an already ravished land. Te moana nui a kiwa. We stood and continue to stand in solidarity.
Who cares about the relationship between how I struggle and how I stand?
My home is an old map that says you are while here is scribbled across stranded, left looking for abandoned bloodline like an ancient treasure.
What language do we need to speak?
When Filipinos tell me they're a proud people, I realize they tell me this in English, this tongue, a commercial of paradise, where Filipino girls can practice being white, an oasis to pamper your fantasy. Defeat is an acquired taste eaten with a beggar's first glance.
Existence doesn't always mean progress.
Sweat and alcohol is my family's only vacation. From sugarcane and pineapple to toilet seats and hotel bedroom sheets. And with humble backs folded like hopeful prayer hands burnt into ashes, I don't have time to care.
When will solidarity overcome individuality?
Sometimes the easiest answer is white. There is not enough breath for me to explain to you why my blood is saffron, mashed potatoes, and parsley dipped in Jerusalem's tears. I expect you to stop listening to anything that follows born in California. Interrupt me with a smile that tries to say I understand, but means I will tolerate you.
What are the words we don't see in a handshake?
When I smile back, I will ignore the way your eyes cast downwards to my covered feet. The number of times you ask me where I'm from, as if the answer will change. The number of times you mix pidgin into your speech, expecting me to get lost. I'm too pale to have grown up here, yeah? Too pink, too stiff, too intrusive.
Were
these boundaries always here, or did I draw them myself?
On the day of the Kaleo protest, the headline in my head read, "Free Speech in Danger at UH Manoa Campus by Associated Press." When you spend every Christmas, summer, sick day, and spare holiday in the newsroom, everything has a headline. It will be as unbiased as a news story can ever be. Journalists work with what they can to say in between the lines, "I'm sorry, I agree, I believe," as many times as the space in between the commas will allow, and that's me. Our dear Pacific, our dear Kaleo, our dear Aina, I agree. I'm sorry, I believe.
There is always more than one voice at stake.
There just aren't enough people
to listen.
Tomorrow, I will go back to Waikiki.
But always think of my people and what they sing.
Try to be as rational as I can.
What
is the color of colonialism?
This hurts.
This hurts.
This hurts.
When will the others stop hating me for being in this skin?
Silence. The price of all this paradise. There is no gap to bridge.
They don't feel my pain. They don't see what I see.
Our identity in Hawaii will crumble like sand.
And it takes multiple hands to polish into mirror.
Our language survived through the passing of flowers.
In 1896, the last reigning monarch of Hawaii, Queen Liliuokalani, was held prisoner in her own palace. Communication with the outside world was prohibited.
Thus, newspapers were snuck into her room, wrapped around flowers.
For months, the queen and her people wrote songs and stories hidden in Hawaiian.
So as to converse without the overthrowing provisional government knowing.
It is because of this we know our history. The language of hidden meanings, kauna.
The first written Hawaiian poetry.
Songs and dance were the medium in which we decoded their denotation.
Connected connotation through kauna.
Speaking of flowers,
but meaning children. The branch is a reflection of the taro root.
We are a reflection of our genesis.
The most intricate euphemisms that ever existed.
But you had to understand the history and culture
to decrypt this language. Had to dig deeper than dictionaries
esophagus,
and vocal cords to grasp the root of the words our people would chant.
Just to understand their messages.
This is
kauna. In a time where our freedom of speech was denied.
And words needed to be hidden in order to be heard. The language of commonality was no longer an option, so our oral traditions evolved, thus our words would die. Our language survived through the passing of flowers. Our ancestors survived through the passing of tongues. A dying language wrapped a dying culture, our flowers. Our children, the ones we promised to die for, weren't surviving, so we sent our stories, wrapped our children in blankets of words, hoping they would on to their meanings.
Oh my kai ke mai luna mai e. O na mea huna no eo. O na mele. E o mai. E o mai. E o mai e.
So today I pray for the principal understanding of people back to change, I pray. That forgotten stories everywhere flood. That the whitewashed ships would strip our language away, I pray. That every foreign tongue,
Kissing language
formed as flowers,
spread across the lands we know as our own.
hold the salvation of our souls to the wishes we got long ago.
Because some meanings should never be hidden.
And with every word lost,
We lose a piece of ourselves.
with every story forgot,
We lose a piece of our history.
it's time to uncover the past to better understand our future.
Interpret our stories to better know ourselves.
So listen to me.
So listen to me.
So listen to me.
So listen to me.
Listen to me.
Existence persists as long as we have language. If we cannot communicate with each other, we cannot survive. He mana ko ka leo. Ai nao he leo, au he ola.
Without language,
We have nothing.
we must see to it that our language survives like the past through flowers.
Ua ola ka ola la mai ka pai kuana o nā pua. E hiki nā pua e ola, mai ka pai kuana o ka olelo. So our children can survive through the passing of language.